You're listening to This Week in America with Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Great to have you with us on the program today. Ken Dunn has a fascinating background and an exciting future. He spent 14 years in investigative and tactical policing. During that time, he also helped start businesses. The success of a mortgage origination firm he started in 2001 prompted Ken to exit law enforcement. He's had 5 different professions over the past 25 years. Today, he's an international speaker, a sales trainer, sought-after business management consultant, best-selling author. His book sails into the tens of millions of dollars, over 200,000 copies sold internationally. And he's the CEO and founder of Readers Legacy, Inc., the world's largest book club. His goal to give away 1 million physical books to support literacy programs. And Ken Dunn with us on This Week in America. Ken, great to have you with us on the program. Nice to have you with us.
Well, thanks, Rick. It's great to be here with you.
And we're expanding our borders this week in America. We're going across in Toronto, one of my favorite cities where Ken is for the program. You know, I mentioned all of that, the great career that you've had, the success you're enjoying now, traveling the world, talking to businesses, selling books faster than they could print the books. I would assume probably the proudest part of your life is this Reader's Legacy. Talk about this, because this really is exciting. It's going to give a whole new meaning of reading books to a young generation.
Yeah, you know, it's really been an exciting time in my life for me. I just, just like I own an American business and I have dual citizenship and my residence is in Vegas, I also have a residence in Canada here because there's no borders anymore. And that's really what I've seen through my whole career. Like you said, I started in law enforcement, then I got into writing books and teaching corporations. I realized back in 2012, after reading an article from the New York Times, that the future was going to be different. They were theorizing in this specific article that in the future, the lines between commerce and social media would be gone. And that in the future, there would be organizations and companies that would successfully merge those two things together. And I knew right away that I was going to do that in the book world. At the time, I was traveling around North America visiting book clubs. I realized how big of a phenomenon that was. And I knew that people that loved to read needed a special place online where they could hang out, where they could connect with other readers around the world, and where they could build virtual versions of their libraries that could end up being part of their legacies. And that magical community is called Readers Legacy. It launched about 6 months ago. Of course, we're doing this interview at the end of June in 2016. And we've already had tens of thousands of people join. We have thousands of people a day creating free accounts. And it's really Facebook meets Amazon. It's a special place for readers.
It's fascinating. And the website is readerslegacy.com. If you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, you'll be able to link on directly. It's really, when I say giving away 1 million books, these are actual books. We're not talking about links where you flip through on your tablet and read something. This is like doing it the way, I'm going to say because I'm older, where books were meant to be. I mean, you actually have a physical book. That's what you're talking about here, right?
Yeah, so readerslegacy.com is now the 3rd largest bookstore in the world. And we sell both physical and digital books there. And soon we're going to be as big, if not bigger, than the Big A.
Wow.
Why we're growing so fast is I realized when this community started to become successful that I would inevitably end up becoming one of the largest influencers potentially in the whole book world. And because of that, I had an increased opportunity and fiduciary responsibility to do something positive with that influence. I've always loved kids. I've done so much in my life to try and give back to that next generation. And I started studying statistics. I started learning that 18% of kids in America graduate from high school functionally illiterate. I started learning that 32 million American adults can't read, and 85% of people in jail are undereducated and illiterate. And I knew that if I could steer the entire reading community in the world into a joint mission to stomp out illiteracy in children, that we could succeed. And so what's so special about us is we give 50 cents on every book we sell and 5% of all the lit coins that are redeemed into a very special fund called the Readers Legacy Children's Literacy Fund. We plan on moving the needle. We plan on changing the statistics.
And you are in a very short period of time, and we're talking lit coins, L-I-T, not bitcoins, lit coins. I love this. This is something so big you've got your own currency that you're dealing with here on a global basis. And I want to talk about the background. I mentioned the 14 years in law enforcement, and I know you've said you really saw a correlation at that point between a low literacy rate and the high crime rate. So even before you were involved in this, you could see, wait a minute, there is something going on here. These people have hit a dead end.
Right. And some of your listeners may not like how I say this, and they may think I'm an over empathizing person, but I over 14 years, I dealt with all of the worst criminals. I dealt with murderers. I dealt with people that committed crimes against children, and I dealt with everything in between. And I couldn't help but start empathizing after a while. I remember those days in law enforcement, and I remember being drawn into my thoughts sometimes and realizing that these weren't really bad people. They were people that had terrible influences. They were people that had to grow up in terrible environments, and they were never given the ability to discern or to decide. Those are abilities that we naturally develop growing from children to adults through our experiences and our education. And so as I got into this business, I realized I've never left that thought. If we can give every child in the world a chance to read and to get them into the understanding that reading is cool, then over time, as those children who are now better equipped grow into adulthood, they can make better decisions. We can effectively lower crime rates. We can effectively lower debt rates. We can effectively lower divorce rates. We can change society.
And this attitude came from what you saw, your perception as you're out there on the streets as part of law enforcement. And it's interesting, your background, because you're not like high school valedictorian who went off to the Ivy League and studied all of this. As I understand, you're self-educated. I mean, you basically learned as you went through your life.
Yeah, Rick, you're doing a really good job of pulling out the not so good things about me.
But they all turned into really good things. That's, I guess, the point you were trying to make earlier is, given the proper foundation, a lot of kids will make different decisions, and we won't have to worry about with a Mountie coming by and knocking on the door and taking them off to jail.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rick. I didn't finish high school. I for reasons that are average. I was never brought up in a household where education was important. I was never taught as an adolescent the importance of reading. But I managed to get onto a good track in life. By 29, I was one of the top interrogators in my police department, and I dealt with major crimes. Then the most startling thing I can imagine happened to me in my life. My wife told me I was about to become a dad. And that was the traumatic experience I needed to decide that I needed to become better and that I needed to make a change. And frankly, Rick, I needed to stop being broke. I needed to make more money. I wanted to give my kids a good life. And I decided I'd reach out to a mentor. I wanted to start my own business. And the mentor said, I'm not going to spend an ounce of energy on you unless you read these 10 books. And he handed me these 10 books. And he said, after you read those, if you really like them, if they mean something, you come back to me and we can talk. Well, I went home and I devoured them. It was Think and Grow Rich. It was The Greatest Salesman in the World. It was As a Man Thinketh. It was the classics. And they told me that I could be better. And they also told me that I had learned skills in my life that were applicable to business. And the rest is history. I've become a devout reader. Since then, I've read over 1,500 books. And yes, they have been my education.
And it's sort of the gateway to the world. It's amazing what you can find in a book. Our guest on the program is Ken Dunn. He is an international speaker, author, a sales trainer, CEO, and founder of Readers Legacy, Inc. If you go to readerslegacy.com, you'll find out exactly what we're talking about on the program. So much fascinating to talk about with Ken, and I want to focus now on the Reader's Legacy. I mentioned this was a community, and I think you used that word as well. Talk about that, because it's really unique in that it is a community. You've got authors and you've got writers, and we have access to each other.
That's exactly right. I want people to realize that Reader's Legacy is Facebook for readers. You go to the website, you created a free account just like on Facebook, but just for joining, we give you 40,000 Litcoins. Now, 40,000 Litcoins has a cash value of about $18. And guess what you can do with the Litcoins? You can buy physical books. So we're going to give you a free book just for joining. And then when you get in there, you get to create a page where you can fill your library shelves and connect with other readers and follow people that like the same books as you. You can rate and review books. You can even buy books in there. And for all of those things, you get more lit coins. We've given away in the first 4 months 1.9 billion lit coins. Wow. And we want people to spend them. We want to give away 1 million books in the name of children's literacy. We're going to give a percentage of every book we sell. We're going to give a percentage of all the lit coins redeemed. And we're going to use the power of this community to give every kid a chance to experience that reading is cool.
Talk about the size of the library. I think I just read like 16,000 books. So this is not like some little library you've got and you hope to expand it at some point. You're talking world class there, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first had the idea to do this back in 2012, I needed to go out and look at the competitive landscape. And of course, when you're talking about selling books online, there is a 90-pound gorilla sitting on the table. And so I had to learn how they did things. And when I did my research, I found that they had distributors that they created relationships with, and through electronic processes, whenever they sold a book, they sent a message to the distributor, and it was indeed the distributor who fulfilled the order. We got those same relationships established. So at last count, we're now over 20 million books for sale in our library.
In fact, I think I said 16,000 and I meant to say million. That's such a staggering number. And since I read this a few weeks ago, it's gone up to 20 million. So basically, if you want it, if it's been written, you've got it at Reader's Legacy.
Absolutely.
What kind of feedback are you getting as you're traveling around? And I know you've traveled extensively worldwide. In talking about this as you're doing your author job, as you're doing the sales work you're doing, but traveling just to talk specifically about Reader's Legacy, what kind of feedback are you getting? Because I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, what a great idea.
We one of the cutest things that I've been called in the last couple of weeks, and now it's happening again and again. We're being called the Tom Shoes of the book business. And I think it's such a fitting name, and now I'm going to make it my goal to meet Tom. but we have an amazing heart. We really, my whole team backs me in our belief that if we can reach every child in the world and we can get them reading, and we believe it is possible, we can make fundamental changes to the world. We really can. We can change the economic in stats that we look at today. And through the power of a community, we're going to achieve that, because none of us could do that by ourselves. But Reader's Legacy, just in the first 4 months, has grown to over 40,000 users. By the end of our first year, it'll be 1 million users. By the end of our second year, it'll be 10 million. By the end of our third year, it'll be in the 30 to 40 million range. So 5 years from now, we'll have 50, 60 million people in this community, and the power of that collective can move mountains.
Ken Dunn, our guest on the program. We're talking about readerslegacy.com. The information is all available there at the website. You can link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. A couple minutes left in the program. We do the video for YouTube, and if you go to thisweekinamerica.us and click on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. We've been talking about 15, 16 minutes. Ken, you've not stopped smiling since we've been talking about Reader's Legacy. Did you have any idea when you thought, maybe I could do something with this, let's see what happens? And now we're sitting here talking millions of books, millions of participants. Any idea it would grow to be like really a global initiative?
Yeah, I always had the dream that it would. But like any endeavor, and maybe this is a side note for entrepreneurs to follow their dreams, there have been many times in this journey over the last 3.5 years that it's taken us to develop and launch this platform that the days have been darker. It's been just an absolute elating experience over the last 6 months to see it growing so fast. We've had many days that we've seen thousands of people joining. We are now getting contacted by every level of media out there, and they're all embracing what we're doing. They're all trying to help us succeed, and it's incredibly humbling. It also means, obviously, I need to step up. I need to become an even stronger role model for this overall experience, and that's a task I'm excited about.
Couple minutes left in the program. It's interesting, a term that's fairly new over the last couple of years, at least new to me, social entrepreneur. And that's really what you're doing, where you can create a business and do really something significant at the same time. That's got to be a rewarding feeling as well, because you obviously were born to be an entrepreneur. You've got the business skills, and you're able to combine that with something at the end of the day. You feel pretty good about what you just accomplished.
Yeah, it's social entrepreneurs is a wonderful term. It also brings with it, though, social responsibility. I accepted the idea that I am going to be the steward of this large community, and there's a significant amount of responsibility that comes along with that. The other thing that we are really pioneers in is social commerce. And what we mean by that is, we believe that in the future, there's going to be a complete convergence between online shopping and social media. It's like that age-old adage of going to the shopping mall to hang out with friends, but knowing you're going to buy something while you're there. We are the leading platform, the bleeding edge, if you will, of a movement towards complete integration between e-commerce and social media. And that will be the standard of online shopping in the future.
And the byproduct of that is kids all around the world who may not have had a chance to read a book will be able to do that, and in the process eliminate the problem of childhood illiteracy. Ken Dunn has been our guest on the program. We're talking about Reader's Legacy. The website is very simple, readerslegacy.com. You can log on by linking onto our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Ken, it has been a pleasure to have you with us on the program. I hope we can do this again. Congratulations on the success that you've had already, and it's continuing every day. We were at 20 million books. By the time we're done with the interview, you may hit 21 million books that you've got. Congratulations on a job well done, and thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Yeah, thank you too, Rick. And I just need to humbly ask everybody that hears our voices to, the minute we finish talking, go to readerslegacy.com, set up an account, make it part of your social experience, and help us to fix this problem.
And everything we talked about is explained in detail there. You can set up an account. It's very easy to do, and you'll be helping yourself and other people. I just love the entire concept from the start to finish, and you can find all the information at readerslegacy.com. Ken Dunn with us on the program This Week in America. Stay tuned. We're coming right back after these important messages.